welcome to Stefan.
Yay!
Hello everybody. I have to say that I'm very nervous to be here on this stage because I do not really like to be in front of all of you. But someone told me before that no one will kill me because we are in a safe space, so it should be okay. So my name is Stefan. I've been an activist for 4 years. I became a vegan while I lived in France and also a street activist, and I came back to Denmark 3 years ago, did some more activism on the streets. And then last year, as Maria said, there was this conference, and Michael Monberg, who is somewhere over there, he had this speech which were called "The Hidden Animals. This is how you can document the life of farmed animals." And he said that you could actually get videos and other things like that if you made, if you requested access to public documents from the food agency, which is called Fødevarestyrelsen in Denmark. So a few days later I tried to do that, and I got a lot of good material, scary good material, and this speech is going to be about that. Yeah. So these are the talking points. I'm going to talk first about what is public documents. It's going to be very boring. I'm sorry about that, but I think it's important so we know what it is. Then I have something about pig factories, the big case I had, I guess, and other animals, lessons learned, and some questions at the end. Sorry, I have a bad memory, so I just have a lot of notes here. Just so you know, my purpose of this presentation is to show you how easy it is to do what I'm doing, and I think that if you are from abroad, you could maybe try to do something similar at home, or even if you're from Denmark, you can also try to do it with other topics relating to animals. And one more thing, I'm going to show 2 videos and 3 images later on. I'm going to have a slide where it says trigger warning, so remember to warn you that you can just leave or close your eyes before you will see these images. So what is public documents? As I said, it can be boring, so it's reports, emails, letters, images, videos, and more. And it is pretty much all public institutions, so the state, regional, and also on local levels, and agencies like in Danish Fødevarestyrelsen and other agencies who actually have those documents. And it's very lucky because we can actually access, we have the right to access those public documents. Some organizations say it's a human right, and in many countries, also in Denmark, but in many countries there's something, let's call it Freedom of Information Act, so they actually have to give us not all information, but a lot of information, and you do not have to give them a reason why we need it, and it's actually very easy to do. And here's some things you cannot get. Let me see if I have everything here. I think I do. Yes. So I have this map here. So this is countries with the right to information laws. So all the dark blue colors are countries where you can actually, to some extent, get information like what I'm going to show you. Maybe not exactly, but at least you could try to see what you can get if you're from one of these countries which are in the dark blue color. And also below there is a very good website where you can get some information about what to do with those, how you can actually, what you should do to get those information from the public. Yes. So, this is actually how easy it is to ask for public documents. So, as Maria said before, I asked I started to work on this 1 year ago, and what I did, I just wrote exactly like here in the first box, just in Danish of course. So I said, I request access to records of all inspections on Danish pig farms in 2022 where health problems have been found for sows. I also request to receive videos and images taken during these inspection visits. And it was actually because of the videos and images I was interested to see just what could I get. And then below there's another example, but it's actually very easy. You don't have to be particularly smart to do this, you just have to know what you want maybe, I guess. Yes, yeah, I don't know. I have also asked for a lot of other things and the examples I'm going to show you. So I don't know if I'm going to talk about that really, but this is just a small sample of what I've been doing. And I think right now the trigger, no it's not, no, that's going to come later. So this is let's call it the big case about pig factories, which is pretty much a horror story. So as I said before, I requested all that information for the reports from 2022, and so there was some phone calls to me from the agency. They asked me, oh, that's a lot to ask for, so a little back and forth, and I ended up receiving 240 cases in a very big Excel spreadsheet, which was all the cases where that was health issues, not just for sows, but for pigs in general, because I couldn't separate the sows. And I also received 10 gigabytes of videos and images. And so when I got that, I said, holy fuck, that is a lot of things. And I was actually watching it all in the middle of the night one day, and it was horrific. So I was thinking, what should I do with those things? So I discussed it with some people, and I said, oh, wait, I can make a movie, but how many people are going to watch a movie made by me, maybe us? Doesn't really help. So instead I started to share it online on different, on Facebook, Instagram, and X. What else? Yeah. So also, I quickly learned that I had to also do some other research, because I couldn't just only use the information I got from these reports. I also have to read about regulations, laws, guidelines. How does the food agency work when they do these animal welfare controls? So I did that. I also quickly got contacted by a veterinarian who used to work for the food agency, and she helped me a lot about those, let's call it, most common health issues. And I'm going to show you a few images and videos later, soon after this, where you can see what it was, because there was some stuff I had never heard about, so probably you maybe haven't either. Then I also learned that the industry has health tolerance levels and guidelines. So for instance, a pig might be sick, and but not so much. Let's say so actually it's okay. There are some tolerance levels which is in itself quite disturbing. Yeah. So as I said early on, I started to share it online, and actually quite quickly it was picked up by national media. So in May it was in a Danish newspaper called Information, where they actually had the same information that I had shown. Just hang on, I just don't want to miss anything. Yeah, I guess it's okay. Yeah, I guess so. So here the trigger warning is coming. So if you don't want to watch disturbing stuff, you should close your eyes or maybe leave, I don't know, but it's not gonna be worse maybe than you normally see, but just, I don't wanna, let's say, I don't wanna be the reason you get any issues from this presentation. So the first photo was actually on the front page of this newspaper, and so this is how, and in this case actually the food agency came and they saw that there wasn't any sticks over there in the plastic holder and they're near. It was okay that there was 40 pigs in such a small space. No one really cared about that. I think this is a video. So these are some sows. So you can actually get some pretty, I actually made it very short because it's just the same all the way. It's a long video, but I just made it very short. It goes to say that actually we can get a lot of information from these food agency inspections, which we can use in our activism instead of going in and break the law, go to the farms and do the filming ourselves. We can also just ask those people, maybe they have it, and they will send it to us. and actually solve one of the issues which Mikael talked about before, which is when we have these information to show the people with videos and footage and images, people would say it's not from Denmark, it's not from this country, it's old, blah 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 blah. But here actually I can prove this is from Denmark, I have the case, I have the date, I know exactly where it is. So we can actually prove this is from Denmark, it is actually from, let's say, Viborg, it is from that farm, it was on the 6th of September this year, or whatever year. So actually it's very good to use this in terms of proof that this is from where you say it is from. Now there's gonna come a little crazy picture, I think. So one more time. No, not this one. So this is a pig with a, I think it's called hernia in English. And this is something I never heard about. It's a big thing over here. So actually, this is very common. Apparently in Denmark, 1% of pigs have this. And this is one of the examples where when the food agency comes to the farms to do the inspection, they wouldn't do anything. They maybe write it down in the report and say, oh, okay, here's a pig, it had this hernia. It's not in the sick section with the other, let's say with the other sick pigs. It's just left on its own, and hopefully the farmer thinks that it can go to the slaughterhouse like this. So they will write it down in the report, the inspectors, and there will be no consequences. Because actually, I didn't say that. The 240 cases I received was all of them without any police charges. Because if there was a police charge, I could not have got them in the first place. Because then it's actually more or less classified until the case is solved. So there's a lot of cases where the food agency do not charge the farmer with any police charges, even if they should according to their own guidelines. Yes. So actually, I don't know how many of you know this, but if this hernia is more than 15 centimeters in diameter and the pig is about 100 kilos, then it's too big. If it's not, then it's okay. So I don't know if you know any human beings who had this disease, hernia, even if it's become very small, people get removed very fast. But not at the farms, and actually they can do it, but it's not economically viable for the farmers to just leave them like this. Then there's another video, and this is, I think it's called limping. There's a pig limping. So, like this. So this is at an inspection visit where the inspector saw this pig, and actually it was in the, it's called, in Danish called sleep. It's a sick area for sick pigs, and they have this like fancy name like sick area, let's call it. But as you can see, it's not very fancy. It's not a hospital, not anything. And actually this pig had been in this section for 2 days with no treatment, and it ended up being killed by the farmer during this visit, which is actually something that happens a lot. There have been cases where, let's say, more than 10 pigs have been killed during a control visit with no consequences for the farmer. Then I'm gonna have, I think, maybe, this is, I think, also a certain picture. It's called rectal prolapse, if you know, have heard about that. So this is very bad. No, it's not this one. Here it is. This is maybe not extremely common like the hernia, but I have read a few cases. There are also a few photos of different pigs with rectal prolapse, and it's actually what happens is that I'm not a veterinarian or anything like that, but what happens is that the wall, maybe it doesn't matter, but as you can see here, So it's coming out, and you can see the reaction outside the body, which obviously is not supposed to be like this. And this pig here had been like this for a week with no treatment. They sprayed some blue stuff, maybe have some medical purpose, but doesn't really help. And of course the pig was also killed during this inspection with no consequences for the farmer. Yeah. So I'm just, maybe it's too short, I don't know. That's actually what I want to talk about in terms of the page. I'm just going to go to this slide. I don't know if I want to say anything else actually about this case, except for that, from an activist perspective, we can get a lot of information by asking of these documents from the public institutions, and it's fairly easy to do, and we get a lot of information from them. So I think it's a huge, let's call it, resource for us as a community to use that method. I'm just going to go to other animals, because I've only worked with, let's call it, animals who are exploited in farming. In Denmark, only pigs, also cows, also birds. And also actually I worked a little bit with dogs. But there are a lot of animals we can get information about from the public. So of course we have the food agency for the farming, for the animals exploited in farming, and also actually Landbrugsstyrelsen, which is another agency in Denmark, also have also go and check the farms for other reasons. Then we have transportation of animals to the slaughterhouse or abroad. Also the food agency is going and check that. Then we have animals used for experiments in different locations. So Statens Serum Institute is a Danish institute where they use animals in testing. Panama Institute, universities. There's also something called, let's call it, Council for Animal Testing, and the animal testing inspections. A lot of different places actually deal with animals used for experiments, and I think it's worth actually use that for us. And maybe a side note is that where I live, not far from here, there is a company that will start using animal testing in where I live. So when I saw that, I actually wrote to last one there, the Tilsynet, to get all controls in all facilities in Denmark for 2023, just to see whatever I can get. I don't know, but I think it's worth trying at least to see. Maybe I can get something from there as well. Then there's animals killed in traffic. In Denmark, I think it's 13,000 a day. And actually, I think it's worth trying to ask, it's called Skov and Naturstyrelsen, so the Forest and Nature Agency. There's also animals in rewilding. And there's also something called Veterinær Sundhedsråd. And there's a lot of different places in the public where they, let's say, deal with animals, and where they do have reports. They maybe have emails, they maybe have photos and videos. And I think it's worth actually asking about that material. I'm just going to check here. Yeah. Then, maybe I'm quick, I don't know how. Yeah. So my speech is not so much about what I have been doing, it's more about actually inspire you to do the same thing in your country or in other areas where animals are being exploited. So what I would recommend is to find out which public organization to contact and find the email. It's very simple to do that. And what I've learned is you have to be very specific and also as narrow as you have, as you can be, and be very clear in demand. And also just experiment and know what works. And then I just learned one more thing recently, which is the tip. If you add the word full aktindsigt, then actually you're going to get everything. Because if you don't act for everything, you don't ask for full access to documents, they actually don't have to give you all of it. They can just give you some of it. So what have I learned here? I think I learned mainly maybe that public documents is an effective method in animal advocacy. Also, it can't stand alone. You need to do some more research to build your knowledge. So what I've been doing was to work with legislation and guidelines and veterinarians to understand what are the diseases and so on. So I think it can be used as some information, but you need to, of course, build maybe a story or your knowledge. Also, I learned that the reality for the pigs is actually worse than what we tell in outreach. We say that, let's call it, we explain the legal things, I would say, but we don't actually realize actually the law is not actually followed all the time. Maybe when I say all the time, I think it's maybe not really, maybe never. So that's quite disturbing. Actually, I think it's difficult enough to do the outreach, but when you realize actually it's worse than what we say, it's pretty fucked up. And also I learned that animal laws and regulations, they are thin as water. So actually in Denmark we have, it's called Dyrevelfærdsloven, so animal welfare law. It sounds pretty good. There are some bad things in there, but in general, let's say, it might be okay. It recognizes that animals are living, sensitive beings, all that. So that maybe is a good thing. That is a good thing, but the law itself is not really good. But let's say it has some good things. But then you come down to regulations about a specific animal, then it starts to become fucked up. Let's say in the mother law, it says that you have to, the animals have to, you have to meet animals' natural behaviors and stuff like that. But when you come to the regulation, for a pig of 100 kilos, it has to just have 65 square centimeters, which is not very natural. And then you come down to guidelines, which the food agency uses when they do the controls, and it becomes fucked up. And then you come down to some exceptions to the law, and you say, okay, actually, animals, as we know, of course, but else actually they have no protection in the law, of course. And also, I guess, my new opinion, I guess, is that the state agency responsible for the animals, they do not protect animals, so that's Fødevarestyrelsen. And I think in the movement in general, we have also always said that Landbrug og Fødevare, the farmers, Venstre, all of those people, they are the responsible for the animal exploitation. And no one ever talks about Fødevarestyrelsen, but actually, I think they are just as responsible as Landbrug og Fødevare, because again and again, they do not follow their own guidelines, and they don't actually report cases to the police, which they should, according to their own guidelines and to the law. And no one really knows about this. I didn't, at least. And it's pretty fucked up. So, I guess that's my presentation, actually.